Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 17th of April and I welcome you to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. And a very good morning to all of you, Amu, Ravi Ranjan, Rashmika, Pushpa, Sonam, Kanishka, Gaurinath, Shashi. A very good morning to all of you guys. So let's start with the session. So in the today's session, we are going to discuss entire analysis of Hindu newspaper. We will take all the relevant articles for our exam and you can also download the explainer notes of this session from our Telegram channel. Link is given in description box. Now, first of all, before starting the analysis, let's see overview of newspaper so that we can understand that actually which articles are important for our examination so that we don't end up wasting reading unnecessary articles. So first article, fabricated case, UP government forms. Now the article is not important for our examination. UP government forms judicial commission on to investigate killing of Atiq brother. Now guys, we are not required to go in the details of this particular article, but we can see this particular angle with respect to the ethics GS paper number 4. So only that academic dimension we'll try to see, but nothing more than that. Then further we have the advertisement, not important. Then guys, coming to the city section. So in the city sectional section, it is all filled up with the regional political articles which are not relevant for our examination. So we will be skipping it up. Then again, we have the advertisements and all such kind of things which are not very much important for examination. Okay, then guys, further moving on, so the same thing continues guys here, and again we therefore then we directly reach to the editorial page. So understand this particular thing guys, that regional section will be different if you are having some different edition of Hindu newspaper. Let's say if you are having Hyderabad edition, Bangalore edition, it will be different, but much relevant articles are not there. Now coming to the editorial page, diplomacy with the change in terms of reference. We'll see this particular article with respect to the exam as what it is talking about. The murder of law order, there must be an independent inquiry. Will basically guys, again the article talks about the killing of a dreaded gangster, fine, who was under custody of the police, fine. Then further moving on, the past cannot be undone through re-christianing. Okay, now guys, this particular article, it talks about that how basically the history is being rewritten, how many of the references from the history are being erased. Okay, we'll see whether it is important for exam or not. Not a whistleblower. So guys, recently we have seen that certain classified files of the US have been leaked. Now it is being said that basically the leaker's intention was not to put forward what were the US's excess have been. Rather, the person who leaked it wanted to put the Joe Biden and their government in the bad light. Okay, so that particular thing has been provided here. Now the article is not relevant for your examination because the academic substance relevant for exam is not there. Fine. Then further moving on, the dynast who has become a political gadfly article is talking about the Rahul Gandhi, how Rahul Gandhi is trying to take on the government, the prime minister. That particular thing has been provided here. Then further moving on, dealing with dissidents in a poll year. Okay, so the guys article is talking about the political stakes in the state of Telangana, BRS and all such things. Fine, more not important article for your examination. Then guys, further moving on, BJP had the edge in recent bipolar elections in Karnataka. Then on democratizing tiger conservation. Now this particular article guys will see with respect to the examination, and the article is containing some very good references, so we will take it. Then further moving on, why did Twitter allegedly block access to tweets with Substack links? So basically guys, when we talk about the Substack, okay, so Substack is a platform on which many of the authors, publishers are there. So basically in tweet, if there is a Substack link, then those particular tweets, fine, their access has been restricted. Now this particular controversy is going on. However, for examination, we don't have much substance here. So I'll not recommend you to go too much in detail in Twitter, Substack, controversy and all such kind of thing. Okay, then further moving on, G7 ministers commit to work for carbon-free electricity by 2035. Now we will see this article because now we see this thing that G7 summit is scheduled to be held in May in Hiroshima. G20 is being chaired by India. Okay, so we will see the G7. Okay, and how G7 can be converged with the India, where India is leading G20. We'll take that. Then after that, we don't have important articles. Largely the articles related to the law and order, etc. are there. Legalizing same-sex union will improve mental health outcomes. We'll see this particular article as what it is talking about. Then guys, after that, largely these are the political articles, etc., and the recent killing of Atiq Ahmad and all these things have been given, political articles. So you don't have anything to read here on this entire page. Then the next page talking about the Karnataka polls. Okay, again, nothing important in this particular page also for your examination. So you please skip that. Then coming to the world page, 61 dead after clashes between Sudan Army, Lula moots joint talk with China, UAE on Russia war. So basically guys, here we see this thing that the Brazil's president will be discussing with is proposing the talks with the China and UAE on Russia war. Now understand this particular thing guys, every state, every country is proposing that Russia-Ukraine war needs to come to a standstill, but at the end of the day nothing has happened up till now and nothing is in sight that what will happen. You are not required to read every other statement, every other development in this particular line because not important for exam. Then Sri Lanka is a failed state, says former president. Okay. Then we have money wise page. On Monday we don't have business page. So this money wise page contains the tax saving advice, investment, mutual funds and all such kind of things. So this article and usually this page is not very much important for our examinations. Then we have next sports page. So this is guys the overview of entire newspaper, and the idea to show you overview is that you try to understand that which articles are actually important that we need to see. Okay, now starting up, and let's take the relevant articles for our examination one by one in detail. Okay, so you can download these notes from our Telegram channel as I already told you. So in every class we start the our newspaper with the GS quotation. So today we'll take the quotation from Michael NU. Michael NU says that the power to make a choice goes with the duty of accepting the responsibility of the outcome of the choice. Okay, so even the Jean Paul Sartre said this thing, that man is condemned to be free. We have the freedom to make choices, but along with those choices always comes the duty of also with the choice there is a duty that what will be the outcome of that choice, you have to accept it, and we need to follow this duty as well. We can use this particular quotation in GS paper number 2, in GS paper number 4 ethics, as well as in essay. Fine. So now moving on, and let's take the first article. Okay, now guys, this particular article is going to be very important article, and I believe that even a direct question on this article can be asked for your GS paper number 1 and GS paper number 3, largely for GS paper number 3. Now first of all, before going on this particular article, let me tell you some background information. So first of all, the article reads on democratizing tiger conservation. On democratizing tiger conservation. So in GS paper number 3, we have the topic of environment and conservation, we can use there. Now guys, what has happened? We are in 2023. We are in 2023. And 2023, it marks the 50 years of the enactment of the Wildlife Protection Act. So Wildlife Protection Act got enacted in 1972 but came in force in 1973. And also Project Tiger. So Project Tiger was also conceived in 1973. So 50 years of Project Tiger, 50 years of the Wildlife Protection Act, and after 50 years, whether these pieces of legislation have been a success or not, how India's strategy with respect to the protection of tiger has performed over the years. So such kind of a question can be asked. Now let's start this particular article. So basically guys, when we talk about listen, one particular thing I want to tell you, that what has happened, government has recently announced that the preliminary data of the tiger count, tiger census has come out, and they are saying that there is an improvement in the number of tigers. Now one more thing I want to tell you guys, that what happened last year, government announced that from now onwards there will be the joint census of the tiger and elephant that will happen. Why? It is because that tiger and elephant are both found in a same kind of region. So why to do the separate exercises? When we talk about the tiger census, it is held by spotting the tiger and there by the camera traps. But when we talk about the elephant census is conducted by doing the DNA analysis of their dung droppings. Now understand this particular thing. We can count the tiger by the camera traps, but not the elephant. Why? There is a very simple answer to that. See, every tiger has a unique stripes, as we have a unique thumb impression, and in that same way every tiger has unique stripes. So by the camera we can identify that this tiger is a separate, this tiger is a different one. But elephants, all of them look very similar. So on the basis of camera trappings we cannot count elephants, they look same. So for that we need to do the DNA analysis. So the joint census will be conducted now onwards. Now as the tiger census has been conducted and preliminary data is coming, it is being said that there is 6% annual growth rate in the numbers of the tiger. So since last 2018-19 tiger census that happened in 2018 and 19, there were approximately 2,967 tigers. So above that, the tiger population has increased 6% annually. So in total, 25 to 30% increase will be there in the numbers of tiger. So we are seeing that the tiger population has been somewhere around 3,000, and government is calling a wide success. Now the article talks about that this particular success is being attributed to two things. Number one, Project Tiger that came, which has helped in the conservation of the tiger, and second is the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. But is it really a success? So the article is talking about that 50 years back, when actually the Wildlife Protection Act came, Project Tiger came, at that point of a time, India announced that India's tiger population has dropped to 3,000, below 3,000, and at that point of a time, entire world was shocked that tiger population has went below 3,000. And because of that particular thing, India came with this legal framework and Project Tiger. But understand, nothing much have changed in the 50 years. 50 years, before 50 years, 3,000 tiger. Today also we have 3,000 tigers. So what has changed, and why government is, and why everyone is cheering today, when the same number was a point of concern 50 years back? Why everybody is cheerful? So basically it has been provided that in India, what has actually happened in India, what has happened, we have taken a type of conservation amnesia. Conservation amnesia. Now what is the meaning of this conservation amnesia? Now see this particular thing. 50 years back we have around 3,000 tigers. It was a point of concern. But if I gave you one more number of tigers, that is around 1400. So actually what happened, in 2006 tiger population reached to just 1400. Now 1400 is very less when you see 300. So basically government is not choosing the baseline of 3000, government is showcasing that the tiger population reached to 1400 in 2006, and from there we have reached to 3000 plus. So actually we have more than doubled the tiger population. So what has happened, the baseline has been shifted to a suitable number, that is 1400, because when you see the present population in comparison to 1400, it will look that much improvement has happened, more than doubled. Okay, so what happens, many number of times the baseline is shifted, and that is called as the conservation amnesia. So this is something that has happened, and on this particular basis we actually are celebrating. Now the scientists, though they are not very much happy with the numbers of the tiger, because they are the same what was there 50 years back, but actually the scientists are happy that Project Tiger has helped in conserving the tiger population in most of the geographical region where they existed originally. Their tiger are still staying. This is a good thing. But guys, still we find that tigers are getting lost from some of very important regions. For example, tiger population has been lost from Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Eastern Ghats, northeastern regions. The tiger population has been lost. Now understand this particular thing, that when the tiger population is getting lost here, what has happened, tiger relocation from the other regions have happened. For example, Panna, Sariska, from here the tigers have been relocated to the places where the tiger population has got wiped out. But this is not going to be a very correct and sound foolproof strategy. Why? Because guys, understand this thing, that when we talk about the tiger population in the different regions, they have their different genetic makeup. There will be the genetic diversity. Here tiger population will have different genetic diversity. Here the tigers will have different genetic diversity. Here they will have a different gene pool, and different gene pools give different type of immunities to the tiger population. Understand this particular thing, that if we will introduce a tiger from this place to this place, what will happen? Over a period of time, the tigers will interbreed with each other, and in some years, the entire tiger population, that genetic diversity will be lost, they will become same. So when they will have same gene pool, they will be susceptible to same disease. And when all the tigers will have same gene pool, what will happen? One disease can wipe out the entire tiger population. So we need to ensure that in different pockets, different tiger population with different gene pools need to be preserved. But when at one place tiger are being lost and we are translocating the tigers from this place to here, so essentially here and here, genetic diversity is the same. This is not a very correct kind of thing. So this is something which is going to be a concern. Then further moving on, when we talk about the tigers, so tigers have been defined as an umbrella species, as an umbrella species. Now what is an umbrella species? Umbrella species means that particular species with which many other species conservation is also linked. If we save this umbrella species, what happened? Many other species also will be conserved, many other kind of let me give you one example. You'll be able to understand this particular thing. Understand, when we talk about the tiger, tigers in India, they live in different kind of habitats. For example, tigers, they are residing in evergreen forest of the Western Ghats, in the Terai grasslands in Himalayas. They are also in tropical dry forest of Rajasthan. They also thrive in mangroves of the Sundarban. So in different type of habitats they are living. So when tiger population is there, we need to protect also mangroves. We also need to protect the evergreen forest. We also need to protect the tropical dry forest. Moreover, tiger needs the prey base. For example, cheetal. Cheetal. Now when we talk about cheetal, cheetal is called as a spotted deer. So tiger needs to feed on cheetal. So we also need to protect, or we also need to ensure viable number of cheetals, because if they will not be there, tiger will not be able to survive. So cheetals are also to be conserved. So therefore, the tiger's protection will lead to the protection of many different type of forests, many different type of species such as the cheetal. This is something that has happening. But guys, in India, there has been one particular problem when we talk about the protection of the cheetahs. What has happened? In India, there is no proper scientific oversight as how in sustainable manner the tigers are to be protected. See this particular thing. What we have done, we have focused on boosting the number of tigers. Okay, but in this capacity, we have not been very much wise. Let me give you one example. What has happened? Just give me. Now, what has happened? The tigers, cheetal. Cheetal is a very important prey base on which the tigers thrive. Now, when we talk about the cheetal or the spotted deer, now by the way, the status of spotted deer or cheetal is least concern on IUCN red list. So, cheetal thrives in ecotone. What is ecotone? Ecotone is a transition zone between two different ecosystems. For example, on one hand we have forest, on one hand we have grassland. So when you will go from forest to grassland, in between the transition zone, it is called as ecotone. So in such ecotones, the cheetal population thrives. Now, moreover, what has happened? Also, cheetals need a lot of water. They also need a lot of water. So basically, governments, in order to protect the tiger, they have promoted the population of the cheetal. But what has happened in this particular thing, many of the other species, for them, the ecosystem is becoming unsustainable. For example, Barasinga. So as in Kana Tiger Reserve, what had happened? Government and authorities have tried to increase the population of the cheetal. But as the cheetal population increased, there is no viable space to accommodate the Barasinga. This is something that has happened. So therefore, now there are the exclosures that are being created, which are the free of cheetal, okay, which are being created. So what happened? We tried to increase the number of one species, that is cheetal, but it is leading to the problem with respect to the Barasingas. This is a very big problem, and it is also called as the cheetalification of tiger reserves. Fine. So this is something that has happened. So guys, this is one problem, that when we talk about the conservation of the species, we don't have taken up it in a very kind of a scientific manner. Moreover, there is also one more problem with respect to the conservation in India. So basically, when we talk about conservation in India, it depends entirely on the network of protected areas. And when we talk about the protected areas, they have the Sarkar complex. Sarkar complex means that they are centralized. There are the protection areas, for example, national park, there are the wildlife sanctuaries. Okay, now the government will be playing the dominant role there. Community, citizens, corporate, citizens, charities, NGOs, they are not given the equal say here. So basically, it has been provided that even the Wildlife Protection Act in India, it is a very restricted kind of a law. It describes in great detail as what you cannot do. However, we don't have any policy framework which provides incentives for the ordinary citizens that they help in the conservation. In other countries, natural lands, okay, the forest, they are adopted by individuals, communities, farmers, ranchers, corporates, and they protect these species, and also they get an incentive if they are effectively able to conserve a particular species. But in India, we don't incentivize the communities to protect the species. So therefore, this is also leading to one of a big problem. So guys, these are all the issues with respect to the conservation in India, particularly the conservation of the tiger. Okay, now guys, one more thing I would like to tell you, that as we are talking about the tiger, what is the status of tiger? As per IUCN red list, it is endangered. So as per IUCN red list, tiger is endangered. Now guys, understand this particular thing. There can be an entire question in GS3 as what have been the problems associated with respect to the conservation of tigers and why it has not been able to achieve what it could have done. So this is a ready-made answer, ready-made points that you need to write. Okay. Now further moving on to the next article. Further moving on to the next article. Okay. Now, the next article, G7 ministers commit to work for carbon-free electricity by 2035. Let's start with this particular article now. Now, this particular article, guys, we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2. We'll see this particular article with respect to GS paper number 2 IR. GS paper number 2 IR. Okay. Fine. Now, before moving on, guys, in this particular article, let's understand some of the basic background information. So, basically, 2023, G7, that is group of 7, G7 is being chaired, or the president of G7 is Japan. President of G7 is Japan, and for 2023, president of G20 is India. President of G20 is India. Now, first of all, when we talk about G7, what is G7? G7 means group of 7, which is made up of the world's largest economies, and in G7, basically this is a grouping of large and industrialized economies, and it has Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK, and US. And for 2023, Japan is chairing G7, and the summit will happen in the month of May in Hiroshima. In Hiroshima. So you might be knowing Hiroshima and Nagasaki were the two cities on which the nuclear bomb, atomic bomb was dropped by the US. Fine. Now, when we talk about the G7, so G7, it is an annual gathering where these 7 countries, they come and they discuss the economic policies, they discuss global issues, as well as all the other matters of the mutual concern. For example, right now, Russia-Ukraine war is going on. So Russia-Ukraine war will also be discussed in the G7. Now, when we talk about the G7, this grouping was launched or was formed in 1975 originally as G6. But what happened later? What? Canada was included in 1976, and then it became G7. Then Russia was also included, it became G8. But after that, Russia got excluded after the Russia's annexation of Crimea. Then again it became G7. So G6, G7, G8, then again G7. And right now we have G7, fine, whose summit will be held in Hiroshima. Now guys, understand that before the summit of G7 will happen. So there are the meets of the G7 countries, the preliminary meets in which the agenda has been set that what actually we are going to discuss in summit. So these preliminary meet or preliminary talks have happened. Now, first of all, these preliminary talks, it happened on the climate and energy. So therefore, climate and energy ministers from these G7 countries, they have come together. Now, this particular meet was held in Sapporo. Okay. So this is Sapporo, and here it is Hiroshima, where actual summit will happen in the month of May. So what has happened in this climate and energy ministers meet? So here G7 countries, they have committed that number one, we will try to ensure carbon free electricity by 2035. And second goal that they have taken is that they will try to accelerate the phase out of coal. Now, there are two actually terminologies that I want to explain you before moving on. One is the phase out and other is phase down. Phase out means that by a particular year, let's say by 2030, we will completely be abandoning the coal. That is phase out. But phase down means that completely we will not wipe out the coal, but we will try to reduce the quantum of coal that is being used. For example, 30% reduction will be done, 50% reduction will be done. This is phase down. Okay, phase out means completely removing the coal. Now understand this thing, that in COP26 that was held in 2021 in Glasgow, there also the developed countries, particularly the European countries, wanted that we want to phase out the coal by 2030 particularly. But at that point of a time, India was not very much in favor. And in G7 also, the recent meet that we are talking about, here also it was said that by 2030 we will try to phase out the coal. Now also India has not very much supported the complete phase out of coal. Why? Because India has two positions in this particular regard. Position number one, India and both China, they say this particular thing, that we are the developing countries and we are very much dependent on coal for electricity. Most of our industries, they need electricity, and that electricity is coming from coal. We don't have much facilities or much uh, uh, power plants which are using the other forms of energy. So coal is important for us. Second thing that we are talking about here is that what is actually happening. So European countries actually are shifting to the natural gas, and because they are shifting to the natural gas, they are talking about the abandoning of coal. Okay, so this is not something in the way the thing should be done. So India has not supported the idea of complete phase out of coal. Moreover, India has also not supported a particular timeline, that is 2030, for phasing out the coal. So therefore, what has happened in this particular climate and energy ministers meet that was held, they talked on two things. Number one, carbon free electricity production by 2035 and accelerating the phase out of the coal. Now, India also visited here. India also participated here. You will now ask a question that India is not in G7. Why India participated here? It is because, guys, India is right now president of G20, and within G20, G7 is included. Within G20, G7 is included. India is chairing the G20. So as a guest, India has also been invited in this particular meet. India will also be participating in summit also. So what has happened because of India's protest? It has been said that will accelerate the phase out of coal, but no timeline has been taken. Not fine. Moreover, when we talk about India and India has also provided this particular thing, that if the world countries seriously want that India should be able to reach their environment goals, then climate finance is to be provided. Okay, then technologies are to be provided by the developed nation. By the way, guys, if I tell you, there was the plan that $100 billion, will be given to the developing country by 2020. But that particular deadline has been shifted from 2021, it went to 2022, then it went to 2023, now it had went to 2025. So India says that if you want that we achieve on all these particular things, you need to promise us the climate finance, you need to promise us the climate technologies and all such kind of thing. Okay, moreover, please don't talk about the phase out of the coal right now, because we are dependent on the coal. Apart from that, the participants in this G7 meet, fine, that is a climate and energy ministers meet that has happened. They have also agreed that we will try to we will try to increase the investments in solar and wind energy, okay, and we will try to ensure that 1,000 gigawatt of electricity by 2030 is coming from the solar power and 150 gigawatt is coming from the wind power, offshore wind power platforms. This is also that they have talked about. Moreover, the G7 um, and environment and energy ministers meet, it has also talked about that we will try to ensure that by achieving this thing, see, if we achieve this particular thing, then we will be able to meet the IPCC IPCC's goal. Now, what is IPCC? IPCC stands for Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Now, IPCC releases its report with respect to the climate change. Right now, IPCC is releasing the round of 6th assessment report. Now, the IPCC reports actually become the basis on which the international climate negotiations happen. For example, you might have read a lot about the 2015 Paris Agreement. So, Paris Agreement was actually negotiated on the basis of the IPCC 5th assessment report. Right now, IPCC is releasing the 6th assessment report. And the IPCC has provided this particular thing that we need to ensure that the global temperature should not rise by more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. Should not rise by that. And world countries have also agreed that yes, we will try to attempt that the temperature does not rises by 1.5 degrees Celsius. Why? Because if it will go beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius, then there will be the catastrophic tipping points that will be ignited. So we need to achieve this particular thing. But one more value addition I want to give you here, guys. 1.5 degree was the goal given by IPCC, but IPCC itself has provided that anyhow in 2018 we have increased the temperature by 1.1 degree Celsius compared to pre-industrial level. So 1.1 degree has already happened. So we need to accelerate it, and in order to ensure that we don't go beyond 1.5, these particular steps will help. So all of these things have happened, and all these are the developments in this particular regard. Fine. So guys, I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to the next article. Okay guys, can anyone tell me, is the stream clear or not? Is the stream is stream clear? Are you able to see it clearly? Now moving to the next article. Moving to the next article. Okay. UP government forms a judicial commission to investigate killing of Atiq brother. Now, guys, understand that for our examination, you are not required to go and see the history, the criminal background of Atiq Ahmad, his brother, what are the cases that were filed on him. Now, I am pretty sure that there will be hundreds of the videos that will be made giving you the criminal profile of Atiq Ahmad, and they will be said that it is important for your UPSC exam. But no, UPSC never asks the questions on their criminal profiles and all such kind of thing. So please don't go in that. Now understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the Atiq Ahmad, so he was a dreaded gangster. He was a dreaded gangster. Also, he was a legislator from UP. He was also a legislator from UP. He was basically on him more than 100 criminal cases were filed. And now what has happened, he has been shot dead. He has been shot dead while he was in the police custody. Now this particular thing has invited the mixed responses. On one hand, it is being said that it is a failure of law and order. It is being said that it is a failure of law and order. Second thing that is being said, that it is a kind of a divine justice. It is a kind of a divine justice. Okay. Now the people who say that it is a failure of law and order, they are questioning that why the police was not vigilant. Why? As now it is also being said that 1 week back, Atiq Ahmad, he approached the Supreme Court and said that my life is under threat and please give me more security, but it was not given. So it has been said that there are the credible reports that Atiq Ahmad's life was threatened, but why still he was not given proper security? Why the media personals were allowed to come so much close to him? Okay, because the shooters, they also impersonated themselves as the media spokesperson. So it is being said that it is a failure of law and order. But some people say that no, whatever happened, it was correct. It is a kind of a divine justice. This gangster, he has killed so many of the people. Anybody who raised the voice against him, he got them killed. So it is a kind of a divine justice, and these kind of a things should happen with these kind of a people, as it is important to send a very strong message to the people who are going on the path of crime. So it is being said that it is correct, divine justice. So basically we come on a question that what is actually the meaning or difference between the justice and revenge. Justice and revenge. Now guys, understand very clearly that when we talk about the justice, when we talk about the justice, understand this thing that the justice is not always about the outcome. Justice is not always about the outcome, rather the justice is about the process. A minute. Fine. Now understand this particular thing, guys. I would like to use one quotation here. Mahatma Gandhi ji said that hate the sin and not the sinner. Hate the sin and not the sinner. Now understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the justice, justice wants to punish the sin, wants to punish the sin. But when we talk about the revenge, revenge wants to punish the person who has committed the sin. The person who has committed the sin, that is the sinner. When we talk about the justice, justice is about closure. Justice is about closure. But revenge is about retaliation. Revenge is about retaliation. When we talk about, guys, justice, when we talk about the justice is basically, justice always wants to ensure, justice also always wants to ensure the order in the society. But when we talk about the revenge, revenge is not always ensured in ensuring the order in society. Moreover, when we talk about the justice, guys, understand that justice is societal. Justice is societal. But when we talk about the revenge, revenge is personal. Revenge is personal. So justice is different, revenge is different. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. When we talk about India, India is a democracy which is driven by the constitution, which is driven by the processes, which is driven by its institutions. And understand this particular thing, guys, that just I wanted to give certain examples here, just to try to understand, and just to try to understand what I am trying to give you the message. Understand this particular thing, guys, that even when the Ajmal Kasab, fine, you might be knowing about the Ajmal Kasab, the terrorist who came from Pakistan and was responsible for Mumbai terror attacks. So even the Ajmal Kasab, though at the end he was executed, but between that he was given the fair trial, he was given the access to the lawyer, and all the remedies that are there, they were given to Ajmal Kasab. Now that was an example that even a terrorist has been given all the due process. This is an example of a procedure based democracy. Now understand this particular thing, guys. Justice is always appreciated for the process that it follows, and that process has to be same for every person. But the killing, it is an example of a revenge, and such revenge cannot be glorified in the name of a divine justice. Revenge is a revenge, and these kind of things can and should not be tolerated in a procedure rule based democracy as India is. Okay, that is, guys, all about this particular thing. Fine. uh, However, we don't need to go too much in that in detail. More than that, I just wanted to give you a kind of a viewpoint. I hope that you have understood it. Now moving to the next article, diplomacy with a change in terms of reference. Diplomacy with a change in terms of reference. So the article is being written, has been written by Mr. Hamid Ansari, who was the former Vice President of India. And this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, international relations. International relations, IR, okay, international issues, okay, and the international developments that might impact India and India's interest. Now, let's talk about the article. So guys, this particular article is talking about the recent agreement that has been mediated by China. Now, this particular agreement has been mediated between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Iran and Saudi Arabia. Now, understand this thing, guys, that when we talk about the Iran and Saudi Arabia, these two countries have a huge ideological differences. Okay, they have ideological differences. Then also there are the strategic economic divergences also that have developed between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Now, because of these differences, even the diplomatic ties between the Iran and Saudi Arabia has been suspended since 2016 and 17. Now, what has happened? China has brought the Iran and Saudi Arabia together, and it has tried to resume the diplomatic relations between these two countries. And both the two countries have said that we will start diplomatic relations, we will reopen the embassies in each other's country, okay, within 2 months. Moreover, also it has been said that Iran and Saudi Arabia will respect the sovereignty of each other, will not interfere in the internal matters of each other. So Iran will not interfere in Saudi Arabia's matter, Saudi Arabia will not interfere into the Iran's matter. Now, this particular agreement has shown many of the things. This agreement has shown many of the things. Number one, it has shown that the Iran is willing to engage in dialogue. Now, understand this thing, guys, that Iran has been secluded. Iran has been just placed on sidelines because Iran is not being entertained by many of the countries. Fine. Now, Iran again wanted to indulge in the global politics, and by normalization of relation with the Saudi Arabia, it shows that Iran is willing to engage in dialogue. Second thing, it is a failure of the US to isolate the Iran. Now, understand this particular thing, guys. USA has always supported the adversaries of the Iran. When we talk about the adversary of Iran, one of the biggest adversary of Iran is Israel. Okay, another adversary of the Iran was Saudi Arabia before this particular agreement. So USA has always isolated the Iran because the Shia dominated government in the Iran, USA believes that it conspires against the USA. Moreover, guys, in the past also USA had said many charges have been leveled against the Iran by the USA. For example, USA says that the Iran is illegally enriching the uranium. It is illegally enriching the uranium to 90%, and Iran wants to make the nuclear weapons, which will make the entire world as an unsafe place, which has been true also. Moreover, even guys, when we talk about the America, you might have heard that there is one act called as the CAATSA Act, countering America's adversaries through the sanctions. CAATSA Act, countering America's adversaries through the sanctions act. And under the CAATSA Act, what USA says that there are certain countries which are the adversary of the USA, which are the enemy of the USA. And if any third country will make the relations with the adversary, then the USA will impose a sanction on that country. And who are the adversaries under the CAATSA Act of the USA? Iran is an adversary, Russia is an adversary, North Korea is an adversary. They are the adversaries of the USA. Okay, so even under the CAATSA Act, Iran is considered as an enemy of US. So USA always wanted to isolate the Iran, but now it is a failure that Iran is getting recognition. Its diplomatic relation with the Saudi Arabia are getting strengthened. So it is a failure of USA. Then it also shows the strengthening of the alliance of the Islamic countries. Now, guys, within the Islamic countries, there have been lot of divisions. You see, within the Iran and Saudi Arabia was also the division. Okay, so the Islamic countries are coming together. Then it also shows the failure of Israeli effort against this agreement. Now see, Israel never wanted that the Iran and Saudi Arabia should come together. Now guys, in the past, USA had tried a lot that Saudi Arabia and Israel should come together, so that Saudi Arabia and Israel should be able to counter the Iran. But what has happened? Saudi Arabia did not went to Israel, rather Saudi Arabia went to Iran. So this is also the failure of the Israel's effort against this particular agreement. Okay, then also it also failure of the US effort to show that Iran public that it has no choice but to agree the joint comprehensive plan of action with America. Now, what do we mean by this joint comprehensive plan of action? So I have just given you one reference that in the past USA had said that Iran is enriching the uranium, and they want to enrich uranium to 90% so that they can make the nuclear weapons out of it. This is the charge that has been imposed on by the USA on Iran. And because Iran is enriching the uranium, USA has imposed a lot of sanctions on the Iran in past. Because of that, the Iran's economy got suffered a lot. Now what happened, guys? Around 2015, around 2014-15, a joint comprehensive plan of action was signed by P5+1 countries. Okay, and under this joint comprehensive plan of action, what happened? It was provided that Iran has to reduce the enrichment. Iran needs to open its nuclear facility to IAEA for inspection, and in return, USA will remove the sanction. This was an agreement that was imposed by USA on Iran. Iran accepted this joint comprehensive plan of action. Things were going good. But when Donald Trump came to the power, Donald Trump cancelled the joint comprehensive plan of action. They withdrew from that. Then again Joe Biden came to the power, and now Joe Biden is saying that okay, now we want to join again JCPOA. But this time Iran was not very much ready, and USA declared that Iran will come to the JCPOA today or tomorrow. But now it is showing that Iran has moved away from US. Iran is getting new friends in the form of Saudi Arabia, in the form of China. Then Beijing's successful entry in West Asia. So guys, understand this thing that earlier who was the negotiator in West Asia? It was USA, but now it shows the entry of China here in this space. Then failure of dreams of regime change. Okay, so US also, it has been said that US always wants to change the regimes suitably, but this is a kind of a failure because China has now come in the picture. Okay, now guys, in this particular development, I told you that Israel is also surprised because Israel was looking that Saudi Arabia and Israel will come together against Iran, but Saudi Arabia went it to Iran. So it is also the failure, and it has also taken Israel to the surprise. Now, it is being said that world countries are thinking that suddenly this particular development has happened. Suddenly the China has came on the picture and has made a patch up between Iran and Saudi Arabia. But no, this development was long going on. For example, it has been said that what has happened since 2016, bilateral efforts have been made to ease out the tensions. Okay, so Iran, Saudi Arabia, and UAE, they are trying to ease out the tensions. Moreover, what actually has happened over the years, bilateral disputes were there. For example, Saudi Arabia and Iran dispute is going on. Within even the GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council, there were the tensions that were there. Now, as we are talking about the GCC, who are the countries in GCC? Let's talk about them. So basically, GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council, we have Kuwait, we have Bahrain here, then we have Saudi Arabia, we have UAE, we have Oman, fine. All these are the members of the GCC country. So we see this particular thing that within the GCC country also the disputes have happened. The point is that the region of the West Asia was facing a lot of destability. Okay. Now, moreover, guys, what has happened in this particular background, if we see that rivalry between the Saudi Arabia and Iran, because of that particular thing, there were the talks that because of that particular thing, there can also be the attacks that can be made on the shipping and energy facilities in Saudi Arabia. And even in the UAE also the attacks can be made by the militias who are being sponsored by the Iran. And all these particular things will bring the security challenge into the entire region. Now, using this particular kind of an argument, what happened? China started to negotiate with these countries, and basically we see that the Chinese President Xi Jinping visited the Saudi Arabia in 2022. And what happened? China organized the China Arab State Summit, China Arab State Summits. Moreover, China GCC Summit was also organized. And in this China Arab State Summit and the China GCC Summit, China proposed that normalization of relation between the Iran, Saudi Arabia should be done. And this particular thing has now borne fruit. Now, the China had said that China wants to lay focus on 5 priority areas in this particular region. Now, what are these 5 priority areas? So, these 5 priority areas are: number 1, energy cooperation. Okay. Second is finance and investment cooperation. Then innovation, science and technology, aerospace cooperation, Chinese language and cultural cooperation. These are the cooperation areas that have been proposed by China, and for these cooperations there is also an action plan for 23-27 that has been agreed. Action plan for 23-27 that has been agreed. Now question comes that why China is so much interested. Now guys, China is so much interested because of number one, that guys understand this particular thing. China is looking to be the next superpower. China is looking to be the next superpower, and the country who is superpower needs to prove itself on the diplomatic front, on the world geopolitics, on world politics also. That country needs to prove itself. So this is a kind of a China's victory in that particular light. Secondly, guys, understand this particular thing. China is running their Belt and Road Initiative, and under Belt and Road Initiative, China needs more and more partners. Now, by brokering the deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia, China got new partners. Okay, and what is happening now? Basically, Saudi Arabia is also going for a lot of infrastructure modernization. Now, as this particular victory has happened, China will get more space in Saudi Arabia's mega projects, infrastructural projects. That is something that is happening. Now, a very important assessment that comes here is that what is India's reaction to this particular development? What is India's reaction to this development? Now, guys, understand this particular thing, guys, that India, first of all, yes, India always is concerned about the China's rise, because China's rise will lead to China India adversaries. Because guys, whenever China wants to rise, China tries to become the regional hegemon, and to become the regional hegemon, China needs to show that they can dominate India. So this is one concern. But guys, as the development in West Asia is going on, understand this particular thing, that see, India always, India's reaction is restrained. India has not criticized it. India has not opposed it. Why? Because first of all, India has historical linkages with this particular region. This particular region comes into the India's extended neighborhood West Asia region. Moreover, guys, this West Asia region also comes within the security parameters of India. And understand this thing: if cooperation is increasing in India's extended neighborhood, that is West Asia, if friendly relations are increasing, at the end of the day, it is good for security. It is good that when the countries come together, they will be able to jointly crack down on terrorism. So this is a good thing. Moreover, this particular region is a principal source for hydrocarbons for India. Oil, gas comes from this particular region. Moreover, India is also investing in this particular region. So if any cooperation, friendship, normalization of talks that comes, India will be happy to support that. Okay. Moreover, the region, for example, Saudi Arabia, UAE, these are the places where India export lot of manpower also. Understand this thing, guys, that Indian diaspora is involved in white collar jobs and in blue collar jobs. Now, largely the diaspora involved in the white collar jobs is in Europe and North America, but large number of workers go to Saudi Arabia, UAE. Fine. So therefore, this particular region is also where India export manpower. It is also the region where India trades a lot also. So any cooperation, any friendly relations are welcomed by India. So this is something that has happened. Okay. Moreover, guys, understand this particular thing. Because of this, India has refrained from any speculative venture. But India just always says that as far as cooperative security agreements are there, freedom of waterways, navigations are being ensured, we don't have any problem. Okay. So peace is important for India. And even if the peace is being brought by the China, India is willing to accept that particular peace, because peace has always been important for India. Okay. So this is, guys, all about this particular article. And now moving to the next article. Legalizing same-sex unions will improve mental health outcome amongst LGBTQIA plus individual. Okay. L stands for lesbian, G stands for gay, B stands for bisexual, T stands for transgender, Q stands for Qers who have questioning identity, I stands for intersex, A stands for asexuals, plus means many other possibilities that can be there. Okay. Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that let me tell you some of the background and then we'll go in this particular article. This particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 1, social issues. GS paper number 1, social issues. Now, understand this particular thing. Legalizing same-sex union will improve mental health outcome. Now, First of all, guys, section 377 of IPC, you need to know about it. Section 377 of IPC. Now, section 377 was brought in 1860s, and section 377 criminalized the homosexuality. It criminalized the homosexuality. For example, man having sexual relation with other man, or a female having sexual relation with the other female. Same-sex relations were criminalized by that. Now, guys, what had happened? Section 377 was declared as unconstitutional earlier by Delhi High Court. Delhi High Court. But then what happened? Supreme Court revived Section 377 again. And then finally in Navtej Singh Johar case, Singh Johar case, what happened finally? Supreme Court struck down the Section 377. It means homosexuality is not a crime right now in India. If two consenting adults, individuals are involving in that, it is not a crime. So homosexuality is not a crime. Okay, this is one thing. Now the people who are the homosexuals, they want that now they should be allowed also to get married. Okay, now understand this thing. The homosexuality is not a crime, but at the same time, guys, the same sex people cannot get married, because in India marriage has to be the union between two heterosexual couple, that is a man and a woman. So marriage is not allowed. And what has happened? They have approached the Supreme Court. They have approached now. First of all, they approached to many high courts. The Supreme Court has clubbed all the petitions from High Court and it has brought to itself. So under Supreme Court, now the petition is there that under Special Marriage Act, 1954, homosexuals should be allowed to get married. Now, in this particular capacity, guys, government up till now has said that no, we cannot allow them to get married because it goes against the social norms of India. Because the marriage means the marriage between the heterosexual people. So, government is not very much supporting that. Now, this is something that has happened. Now, guys, in this particular capacity, a report has been published. Okay, the report has been published. That is the anticipated impact of LGBTQIA plus marriage equality legislation on Indian society and mental health. Now, what this particular report is providing, this report has been based on an online survey that has been conducted. And this report says that if we legalization of same-sex marriage, if we allow the legalization of same-sex marriage under the Special Marriage Act, then what will happen? It will lead to the improvement in the well-being, legal safety and access to legal rights for the homosexual couples. It has been said that, see, legalization will not mean automatically that the homosexual people will be accepted in the society. Society might not accept them, but at least legal protection will be given to them, and that particular legal protection will give them a kind of a psychological security. This is something that has been there. So legalization should be given. So this is, guys, one kind of an argument that you can use in your social related answers if the question is coming. But for the matter of concept, number one, homosexuality is not a crime in India after Navtej Singh Johar judgment, but they are not allowed to be married as of now. The Supreme Court is looking in that particular possibility. Supreme Court will come out with a verdict in the times to come, but as of now, the Supreme Court is hearing the matter. Final decision has not come out. This is, guys, all about it. Now, moving to the next article. Okay, so guys, here we have two editorials. Number one, the past cannot be undone through re-christianing. Now, what this particular article is talking about? The article is talking about that what has happened. Article says that United Nations Secretary General, okay, had observed that Islamophobia is increasing, and even in the United Nations, it was proposed in 2022. In United Nations, it was proposed in 2022 that March 15 should be declared as the International Day to combat Islamophobia. But India said that no, such kind of communal matters should not be brought. Now the article is talking about this particular thing, that what has happened, rewriting of history is being happening, the name of Mughal Sarai is being changed, the name of Allahabad is being changed. It is a kind of such kind of things that are happening. Okay, moreover, now recently from the textbook, the references of the Mughal rulers are being taken away. Okay, all these particular things are being said. Guys, article is not containing academic substance for your examination, so no need to read that. And then next article, the dynast who has become a political gadfly. Now this article is talking about the Rahul Gandhi, that how Rahul Gandhi is trying to create its own persona, how he is actually trying to shun away that a dynast tag and all such kind of a thing. Okay, so this is all these thing Rahul Gandhi's assessment is being done. So again, these kind of things are not asked in our examination, so no need to go here. Okay, and then we have the main practice question for today. The question reads, the Chinese brokered agreement between Saudi Arabia and Iran reflects a new sort of regional alignment amidst America's declining influence. Comment. So this will be your GS paper number 2 10 marker question. So try to write on that. Okay, I can see a question here, sir. When it comes to Atiq Salman encounter, is it unlawful? But morally, it seems to be something people really wanted. So was it ethical to encounter? Okay, Chirag, this is a good question. And understand this particular thing. Understand this thing. First of all, you need to understand that first of all, we live in a country which is governed by the constitution and which is governed by the rules, regulations and the law. And the law, the constitution itself provides about the fair trial, which has been considered as a part of the article number 21 of the Indian constitution. So right to life and liberty talks about the right to fair trial, and that fundamental right cannot be taken from anyone, and even if that particular person is a gangster. Is it clear or not? And understand this particular thing, that the process has to be given to everyone. Process has to be given or has to be made available to everyone. Okay, so understand this thing. Sentimentally, people might support it, but is it ethical to encounter? Okay, first of all, that was a kind of a killing of a person that has happened, okay, by some other people. Okay, that was not a police encounter in this Atiq Ahmad case. Okay, that was a killing by some other people. Okay, so murder is a murder, that cannot be justified. Okay, fine. Okay, and meanwhile, a very good morning to all of you as well. Okay, Shashi Kumar, Gauri, Aman, uh, be preserved, Anushesh, Think Everest, Gokila, Donia, Sugun, Ramya, Bhuja, Arvind, Pallavi, Teju, Shravali, Shravani, Pushpanjali, Gaurinath, Akansha, Ria, Kumar Rao, Venkat, Kavita, Dipankar, Gaurinath, Pavan Kumar, Mohammed, Rehan, Kumar Rao, UPSC, JNV, Karthik, KM, Pratyush, Sai Ganesh, Neeraj, Gondam, Pavan, Mohammed, BK Panda, Alam Kumar, Kavya, and Mohammed. A very good morning to all of you, and thank you so much. So now we'll meet tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.